Hello everyone, welcome to another Polish edition of Jewish Cooking Academia, the great project of Lorina Todosite. Lorina is a Jewish chef, originally from Lithuania and Israel, nowadays based in Paris, France. She invited me to join you for cooking preparation for Rosh ha-Shana and Sukkot. And it's a kind of challenge. It's quite popular nowadays to challenge people with different tasks. So Lorena decided to challenge me with Jewish cooking, some Polish traditional Jewish recipes actually, because we will have two dishes today. My name is Alexandra Wilczura. I'm a Jewish leader for last 20 years. Yes, I'm older than 20 years old. And I lead the Zukunft Jewish Association. Times to times, I also cook for the Jewish community in my hometown, Wrocław. During holidays, that's why it seems I'm well experienced to cook today with you and give you some tips how to prepare traditional Jewish food for Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot. Lorena asked me to show you how we prepare at my Jewish community Jewish herrings. Actually, since the community is young and old in one time, so our recipe doesn't stay for more than 5, 10, 15 years. So I decided to share with you my family recipe. I hope you will enjoy it and it will be present during your Jewish holidays. That's my wish. So first we start with herrings. Herring is a traditional Jewish fish, I would say. It's present on all Jewish holidays, Shabbat, high holidays, except of course Yom Kippur and fasts. Why it's herring? It's because it's the cheapest fish in our region. In Lithuania, Poland, Germany, Eastern Europe, it's the cheapest fish on one hand, also the tastiest, I would say. And there is a lot of it's really available at shops in a region. So because it's so popular, it's also very cheap, and that's why it's the main actor in our Jewish cuisine. So we start with herrings, around 1 kilogram. I advise you to choose 2 herring per person. So if your family is 5, 6 people, choose at least 2 per person. In order to give people a chance to really try them and admire the taste for all holiday long time. So we have 1 kilo of herring, a good one. Then in order to prepare them actually for cooking, we need to give them a bath, a good one, a Cleopatra ones, means in milk. You can also ask me that if the milk must be hot or cold, whatever you prefer, it doesn't matter. It will change a little bit texture of fish, so it's better to have cold milk. Herrings need to be covered like saucily. For those who really put attention to Jewish laws, I advise you not to use milk. Why? Because probably your holiday meals will accompany with meat. So in order not to break Jewish law, kashrut, that is connected with mixing or not mixing meat and milk together, so it's better to avoid milk. Of course, there is a Jewish law that only 1/60 of milk might be added or contain Jewish dish in order to keep it still kosher and available for other meals. But for holidays, we try to be to elevate our sauce. So it's better to stay far from milk unless you don't serve meat like beef. Because milk with chicken is available, milk and fish is available because fish is fiber. It might be accompanied with milk and meat. Chicken depends on how orthodox you are. According to orthodox kashrut laws, chicken, turkey is not recognized as a traditional meat because like you don't give milk to the child of chicken or bird. So it's okay. But for holidays, to keep also other people, you don't know what they eat previously before they came for your milk. So it's better to stay far from milk. I will do it with milk because I don't eat meat in general. It's very rare and only at the Jewish community. So I bath them in a milk for half an hour or 1 hour, depends on the taste of the herring. If they are too salty, they need approximately 1 hour. But if not, you can, before bath them in milk, you can also wash them in the water. They shouldn't be too salty. But remember, we will, during these holidays and also while preparing holidays and food for Rosh Hashanah, we 99% we don't use salt because it's a kind of magic. We try to, Jewish women during cooking, they make magic. They try to spread some good magic around meal, around food. So in order not to make our next year salty, we avoid it and we turn salt into sugar. So a lot of sugar, a lot of honey in order to make next year sweet. So bath is taking place for half an hour. I'm leaving them for later. And in order to save time, as you know, we especially when you are a Jewish woman, you have always lots of things to do. It's not only about cooking, but also looking gorgeous during holidays. And it doesn't take 10 minutes. I know that some people probably think so. We need to prepare everything in advance. It doesn't take like 1 hour. It doesn't take 2. It's better to prepare food at least 1 day, 2 days before. And our Jewish dishes for holidays let us do so. So if you need herrings, if you need tzimmes or kugel, it's absolutely fine to prepare it 1-2 days in advance in order to save time. So in order to save our time today, let's prepare second bath for our herrings. That is apples, onions, and cucumbers. In order to prepare this filament for herrings, we need to start with onions first. You need at least 3 or 4 onions this size. It's around 1 kilo, if it's better for you. But this onion, like every onion, is very tough. It doesn't taste or smell nice. It's not sweet. So in order to prepare it for a dish, we need to take another box and give also a bath to our onion. We cut them, of course, into the cubes. The smallest cubes you have, it's better. Depends on how qualified you are in cutting, how much time do you have. It needs to be really, really small. You can leave it in a box you already have. You can put it to another one. And just to show you how it's really look, it's really, really, really small. I don't want to cut in front of you these 4 onions. I prepared them in advance because I didn't want to cry in front of 1 million of people cooking with me. I know that in Jewish tradition, it says that Jewish women are created for crying. That's why we are crying all the time. And yelling, that's our traditional way of conduct. But today maybe it's not the time. So we take 4 onions, 3 or 4, depends on the size. We cover them with sugar, a lot of sugar. I know part of you will decide like you don't want to take so much sugar. Believe me, this onion really needs it. We cover it. We cover it really a lot. It's a half of glass. This glass it's like regular one, even if it's smaller. We cover it, we mix it, we make onion with sugar. You can also use honey. Depends on what you really like, because sugar is more neutral. It only gives you the sauce, the liquid from the onion and taste of onion. Honey is always flavored with different types of herbs or flowers. So you can add like 2 spoons. I usually do so. But most of the bath, sugar bath, I give with salt, with sugar, and give 2 tablespoons of honey, just to give a little bit of flavor. Okay, it's done. And we leave our onion in this sugar bath for at least half an hour. Actually, it takes more or less like our herrings bath, so it's absolutely fine. We will put it here. And what we do next? We prepare apples. We need at least 2 apples this size or 1 big, depends on how sweet or taste of apple you really want to have in your herrings. So I use 2 apples this size. You can peel it or stay in a pill. I prefer to stay because it's more colorful. It gives you a glimpse of autumn. And we need 6 cucumbers, or 7 or 8, also depends on your taste. I use 6, not the biggest one, like the regular one. And we cut them into small cubes, small pieces, really small. The smaller they are, it's better. Of course, it would take at least half an hour to cut them. So in order to give us a little bit more time, let's just mix it. We take 6 cut cucumbers. Two apples. And now, we need to give a taste to our future dish, and it goes with herbs. We need rosemary, 2 teaspoons. That size maybe IKEA doesn't do the best teaspoons. So I would say we should give 2, but these 2, I would give 3. 2 free spoons of rosemary, 2 free spoons of majoram, 2 tablespoons of kopek, in Polish, and in English it's dill. You can use the fresh one, 2 spoons. And majoram. So, and we mixed all of it very well. But it doesn't go just like that. You can use also 2 tablespoons of vinegar, or you can use white wine. I asked my friend to open a bottle of wine, but it seems it didn't happen. So I will find some vinegar in wait a sec. We'll make some vinegar soon. And we also add some garlic. You need at least 4 big or 5 smaller garlic. In a recipe, you can just use the pressure, but I prefer to cut it on my own. It's much more, it's tastier, and it's really better than to mash it. So I will cut it. How do I cut it? The smallest you can do it, it's absolutely fine, but not too small. You can also like cut 2 of them and 2 press. It's also fine. I believe that when garlic is cut, you can feel the flavor stronger. And what's your preparation? It's better to choose machine to press garlic or do it manually. I'm really wondering. Because every Jewish home has its own traditions and secret recipes. Actually, I discovered it while I was cooking with Lorena many years ago in Vilnius. That every home has their own secret that's in cooking that they try to keep for other generation and not to share. So if you get the knowledge of secret recipes, how to prepare the best Jewish food, you can start with a career of a professional chef. I'm sure it will be successful. It's very quiet here. Usually when I'm cooking, I'm listening to the music, or more often I singing on myself. Maybe I will not sing, maybe later. So let's take 2 tablespoons of vinegar. At home I have kosher vinegar for Pesach. That's actually I always buy it for Pesach, and it's enough for all year round. And but here you can also use 2 spoons of kosher white wine. It's absolutely fine. Actually, let's eat free. I'm not going to drive today. My suggestion is when you cook for yourself and for your friends at home, it's good to press it by hands to take all juice from veggies. You can do it just with hand and press it really strong. You can hopefully hear how strong it was. Second thing, regarding raisins, we give at least a half of a cup of raisins to the milk, to the dish, but Some of you prefer to soak them for half an hour in milk. Some of you prefers to soak it in tea flavor or just tea. Depends on the family tradition. I prefer not to soak them at all, but maybe I will leave it to the side. Why? Because after 2 or 3 days, they will soak with oil and sauce or juice, other ingredients. They don't need to be soaked in advance. So half a cup. Don't afraid that they are a little bit soft. They will be fine in once a day. And mash them. Mash them really, really well. Okay. Our second bath for herrings are almost ready. I believe that half an hour already is done. I should have a beautiful assistant next to me. Usually it's a Wielka Gra. It's a TV show that there is Mrs. Magda helping the main person. I don't have Magda today, but hopefully it's absolutely fine. So let's do with our herrings first. Let's prepare them for the final preparation. We take them, we wash them. We wash them really, really well because we don't want to have milk anywhere. Okay, they are ready. We cut them into small pieces, 4 or 5, depends on the size. Okay, we put them inside. Them. It's almost ready. The only thing that we need is the onion. We also mix it together. Take as much sugar as you can. Sugar and onion will give a lovely flavor, and you really admire it, I'm sure. And there will be also a kind of juice going straight from cucumbers, onions, and apples. So it will be really tasty and sweet. So don't be surprised with a taste. The first taste is a little bit different. It's not salty. You know, there is the war between Galicianers and the Litvaks. They accompany everything with salt. We do with sugar and raisins. So that's the Polish Jewish Galicianer style of herrings. Unless my family comes from Belarus, so there might be a small discussion. Machlojkę, how we call it in Jewish tradition, what actually our roots come from. Okay, it's almost ready. The only thing that we need is to prepare it for, wait a sec. Let's have a special class for that. Because you need to keep your herrings in a fridge at least for some time. So have in mind that it's good to save your time and keep it in a box or in a plate that you will use during the holidays. Like not waste time to move herrings from one place to another. It's better to have a final vessel used in, thank you. So that's our final vessel that we will use. As you see, I use glass. It's very good for kashrut reasons, because glass might be kosher in a washing machine, so dishwasher, whatever you call it, or with boiling water. So you just pour boiling water on glass, and it's absolutely fine. It doesn't go the same with this kind of plates, because these ones you cannot kosher. That's why I try not to use meat stuff with this kind of plates, unless I know that it won't be served with meat, because I couldn't make it kosher for other purposes. So I only use it for holidays when I serve fish and veggies or parva stuff. So this is all about it. So that's our final vessel. Yes, and what we do next? We put all this stuff in a final vessel plate. It needs to be the one that will not lose juice for at least few hours. You see, that's the juice accompanied with onion. I'm already hungry. It really smells nice. And usually I don't say so. There's a kind of perfectionist world. It always might be better. So that's the final. Okay, we did it. And the final two steps with this Jewish Rosh ha-Shana herring is that you need a tablespoon on a fork, and press it really, really strong. Just mash it once again. Mash it once again. Give them a massage in order to receive some juice in return. Okay, it's pressed enough. And then we use all olive oil, all regular oil. This one is kosher. It's made by Rabbi Shudrik, Hashgacha. So kosher depends on the country, how you call it. So it might be 1 glass, half a glass, depends on the vessel you use. So we need to cover it with oil. Actually, in Polish Jewish tradition, we are not used to use olive oil. Why? Because it was too expensive, and people who lived here weren't too rich, so they rather use oil, like regular one. It's very good quality than olive oil. As you are aware, olive oil also gives different kind of flavor. So I leave you with what you prefer. It's 1 glass, half a glass, depends on the vessel. And the final is sugar. It might be sugar, it might be honey. 2 tablespoons. And our dish is ready. But it's not the final step. The final step is covering. You need to cover your herring for 2 reasons. 1, use the covering that eliminates any fresh air entering to the dish. The dish needs to lose any air for at least 2 days. That's the secret of this dish. In order to make it really tasty and like be the star of your Rosh ha-Shana table, keep this dish 2 days at least in a fridge, covered. Well, minimum 2 days. It can stay in your fridge at least for 7 days, 7-10 days. So it's absolutely fine. It's marinade. So don't afraid that it's natural marinade. So don't afraid that it won't be fresh or tasty enough to serve people during holidays. It's absolutely fine. The best one is after 2 days. So you can of course eat it now, but it won't taste as good as in 2 days. We put it to the fridge. I did it one on Friday and also yesterday. So actually I'm like into herring world. You can see how it's really look, how the raisins look like after 2 days. I'm sorry that you cannot taste, but I'm sure it's really good. That's the final version of this dish. Good. So that's the one. I don't know how much time do we have because Jewish time management is the worst thing that goes in our tradition. We try our best, but like the easiest things and roads that takes usually 3 days, it takes us at least 40 years. So let's move to another dish that is Galician Ercimes. For that, we need somebody to wash dishes. So we need a pot. We need at least 1 kilogram of carrots. Why we need carrots? It's traditional veggie. We say that we need to cut them in these kind of pieces because they remind us Russian Empire at times when we used to pay with golden rubles. And golden rubles were actually red. So it means that when we eat carrot this size, it means that we trying to make it like to make some magic that we will be richer in money. So we eat carrot a lot. We need 1 kilo of carrots. We need 12 walnuts, 12 apricots, and 12 dates. Why 12? Because another time, once again, we are trying to give some magic to our food. 12 is 12 months, 12 tribes. So we cannot forget about anyone, about any tribe or a month in this passing year and prepare for next 12 exciting months. So must be 12, that's the magic. We cut it into small pieces. The smaller they are, it's better. We mix them all. just dates and hot water. How much water do we need? We need only as much as covering the carrots. You don't need more. Less, better. Let's see how much it will go. Okay, I would say that it's 1 liter. 1 liter of carrots. And we press it on and boil it, cook it for at least half an hour. Half an hour we are cooking it. During that time that we are waiting our carrots to be prepared, we can work with walnuts. Of course, we can always drink some wine to cherry us a little bit more, to make cooking more happy situation. Yes, that's my glass. Thank you. So, we need 12 walnuts. Why 12? Because I already said it symbolizes 12 tribes, and they should be also full, not cut, because we don't have the lost our mind or half-brained or zerflogen in Yiddish means absent-minded a little bit. So full to be like full and strong mentality. So we have them 12. Some tradition says that, Jewish tradition says that we shouldn't use walnut because and nuts in general, because the numerology of word nut is the same as sin. So we should avoid sins during high holidays, Rosh Hashanah, Sukkot, because we are waiting to be registered in a book of life and not in a book of death for next year. So we prefer not to be too much food filled with sins. But I suggest that it's not exactly my tradition. We use walnuts, and it also has the second meaning. Why? Because during Rosh Hashanah, we collect pieces of bread, challah, for Rosh Hashanah, but we also collect our sins. We give it back to water. We give it to God. During the first day of Rosh Hashanah, when we go next to the river, close to the river or any other water place, and we threw them all out. We call this tradition tashlik. So walnuts, even if they symbolize sins, or might symbolize sins, are fine for Rosh Hashanah, because we are thinking about things that we done. Also bad things, we try to apologize. We go to people who we might hurt and ask them for forgiveness. If they don't want to forgive us, we give it to God to solve the problem, because He's the best person in charge to do so. So we take 12 of them and we cut them into pieces. You can use also presser, but I prefer to do it manually with a knife. Or second thing that I can do, yes, I can do it also with, it's a family secret, but actually I can show. Because we are sharing not only Jewish power and Jewish traditions and food and recipes, but also some Jewish secrets. So that's the secret of my family, how we work with walnuts for Pesach. We mash them. See, you don't lose anything. Everything is smashed So it's better than you can imagine. See? So that's our walnuts. We will add it to the end of our carrot. So while we are preparing tzimmus goes in every dish during Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot. It's a traditional carrot, white gezer. The same we are dealing with numerology. It means it has the same numerology as life. So we eat a lot of gezer because we want to be healthy. We want to stay alive for next year. It also symbolizes, as you already said, money, so being rich. It's a kind of magic that we try to add to every dish. Actually, after the Second Temple time, when we stopped giving offering at the High Temple, we turned to our synagogues, but also to our houses, and we tried to give offering through food, through every meal while we are eating with our friends and families. So the table is actually a kind of giving a service at the temple, and every dish has a special magical, if I can use this word, or omen meaning, that bring magic, bring special atmosphere that ha-Shana wrote about it. It's a special atmosphere that is brought by Jewish food, by Jewish people, but also the Jewish traditions, the Jewish stories that are full, like rooms are full with stories, traditions, when we are eating and enjoying time together. Actually, in our tradition, we say that even if you don't have food, it's better to have other people around you, like to give the atmosphere. It's fine to be just together. And if you can choose or to have a lovely meal or to have lovely accompany, it's better to choose an accompany. So, our fish is waiting in a fridge to be served for 2 days. I already told you this tradition that that fish symbolize God, and that's why when we go for Tashlich ritual to throw out all our sins to the water, we do it because fish are there. It's a kind of feeding fish, like carps or herrings. So we believe that fish symbolize God, because fish never sleeps. So it means that fish or God sees everything, never sleeps, and watch us like really carefully, and knows what we are doing and how we do it and what is actually in our mind when we are acting. So that's the story about fish, and this is also why we serve fish during Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot. Rosh Hashanah, it's more important. Why? Because we want to be, there is a tradition that during the final meal, when the Mashiach will come, and we are praying for that he will come as soon as possible, we will eat Leviathan and Shor Chabor. Leviathan, it's a mythical fish. Actually, in modern Hebrew, Leviathan, it's a whale. So whales are actually not fish at all. They are mammals. But still, Leviathan is a mythical fish that we are going to eat. So that way, during Rosh Hashanah, we want to bring the atmosphere, this feeling of Mashiach's time and this final meal with Mashiach, by herrings, by fish, by carp. It's good to serve it with heads. Like in my home, we serve fish soup instead of chicken soup, so that's something new. And the fish soup with heads and also some jelly. And that's the tradition. In order to be a head in New Year, not the tail. That's why it's better to have more heads in a meal than tails. And there should be a competition while you are eating, who will eat the heads. I know that not everyone is a great fan of a head, but still, magic is as powerful as you can imagine. So there is a competition for head. Yes, I advise you to try. So that's the head. If you don't like fish, it's also fine. Then you use a goat head or lamb or sheep. Depends on the country. Like in Poland, szkita is a traditional way how we kill animals for meals, for food. It's forbidden. It's only allowed for religious purposes, but it's extremely difficult. We don't have qualified people who might do it. So we export meat from abroad, usual, and it's very difficult. It's not so easy to obtain kosher meat as in Germany, Austria, or I suspect that also in France. So fish is the easiest and the safest way to meet all regulation regarding Rosh Hashanah meat. Regulations, what does it mean? Regulations, I mean simanim. Lorena in her academia was talking a lot about simanim, Rosh Hashanah simanim. Rosh Hashanah, it means new Jewish year. Simanim, it's a symbols, it's an omen. And while we are eating, we have seder. It's like a milk that we call seder. We need to have different simanim, different magical objects that are our dish, our food. One of them is, of course, carrot that we already said. It's always apple because we want our next year to be as sweet and colorful and juicy as apple are. We want them to be even more sweeter, so we dip them into honey. You might ask what kind of honey we can serve for holidays, because we want to feel a little bit more elevated with Jewish tradition, with Jewish law, kosher law. We should have kosher honey. Not every honey is kosher. Please be aware. Probably the easiest one and to know that honey is fine. It's not too dark. When it's not dark, it's like light. It means that probably it's in 90% it's fine. It needs to be done from herbs, flowers, not from how do we call it? Not from seeds like kasha. I don't know how to call it in English, but still we have honey that's called greczany. So it's from some different seeds, I would say. It's not kosher, but why it's not kosher? Because it's also made with the bodies of flies, bodies of bees. We need to have only the part that is produced by bees, not bees as such. So every honey that is with kind of bodies, some part of bodies of any flies or bees is forbidden. It's not kosher. We not accept it. So please choose honey with hashgacha, with kesher, that are kosher for holidays, but also like kosher in general. So without any body of flies. Please be aware of that. I would be happy to know, be aware that you know that kosher honey, it's very special for holidays. Like Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot, it's all about honey. So even if you don't put much attention about kashrut, it's good to have kosher, at least kosher honey for holidays, because it will elevate your soul. You will feel that at least you tried your best to be a little bit better person or Jew, or try your best to for this special time. So while we were cooking, it's good to take it from So I talked about carrots, I talked about honey. Oh, one more thing. There is a story of the tradition that we call Israel the country of milk and honey. And I found in traditional books, like religious books, that honey, in Bible and Jewish texts, we relate to honey. Actually, it's not honey that we have nowadays in the rest of the world. It's a honey made from dates. So it's a different kind of honey. So if you have access to honey made from dates, that's the one you might use. Other synonym, other magical objects, products we might use during Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot. It might be something that symbolizes Eretz Israel. So something that it's not, it's boiling, it's good, good, good. Let me make it smaller. Okay. So for Rosh Hashanah, it's good to bring some fruits from Israel, like figs. Figs and from, oh, that's what you can see. Good. We need another half an hour minimum. We can add our cup of raisins. You can soak them in advance, but you don't have to. Like, it depends on you. Smells good. With other simony, so fruits of Israel. It's very difficult while living in diaspora to have Jewish fruit, but we try our best to bring them at least for high holidays. So this is pomegranate that symbolize all mitzvot, more than 600, I would say 648 or 14 as I remember, 614 mitzvot that we need to, as a observant Jew, we need to meet, to try to keep in order to bring Mashiach back to the world. So pomegranate symbolize mitzvot, so it's good to eat it. Fig is the same. It's also a lot with seeds, so it symbolizes multiply of the nation, multiply of the good deeds, good mitzvot. So it's also fish, but fruits symbolize multiplying of our good deeds, nation, and good emotions. So as long as you serve something that symbolizes multiplying, it's good to have it for Rosh Hashanah. Traditionally, it's only carrot, fish, apples, 7 fruits of Israel, and honey. If you add something more, it's absolutely fine, but it's your local tradition. It's very difficult, like every community, small community in different place have their own traditions. So I can share with you some of mine, like we eat liver, chicken livers. Of course, prepared in kosher style, because preparing liver is extremely difficult to make it kosher, but we serve it sweet in honey and raisins and sugar. Why? Because the name of liver in Yiddish is the same, sounds the same as the to be live, to be vivid. So it's another kind of magic that we try to spread during this amazing special evening. Okay, so what I would say, if we could, let's say that 2 hours already passed. And our carrot is like butter, I would say. It's like a butter. And when it's like that, we actually add butter. Another time, you can ask, why butter? It might be butter, it can be also olive oil, it might be a glass of olive oil, or regular oil, or margarine. I know that Lorena would kill me if I will advise you to give margarine. Why? Margarine is, you can buy a kosher one, and you can use it with meat and milk. If you use butter, it's already a milky dish and you cannot mix it with meat. So if you plan for Rosh Hashana to have chicken, potatoes, and tzimmes, this tzimmes cannot accompany this meat, and actually you need at least 6 hours in between in order to serve tzimmes. So it's better to use margarine or oil, like regular one. It's better to have regular than olive oil, because olive oil is still like a little bit bitter, and the taste wouldn't be as good as you have with butter or with regular oil. And in our situation, when we planned only to serve fish for Rosh Hashanah, Seder, and there is no threat that we will mix it with meat, we take butter. The taste will be the best. I'm sure you can find some kosher butter at your place. 100% butter, it's absolutely fine. How much? It's a cube. You might say it's a lot. Yes, but still, after we can like try a half an O cube, and you will definitely say that when you use a full cube, the taste is much more better. We add it to the pot. Let's make it a little bit. Okay. You see, this is how our carrots should look like. Be like butter. So it's better to bring it out from the fridge at least for 2 hours to make it like easy to use. And you will have time, and give also carrots time to soak it a little bit. It's a calorie bomb, but still, tzimmes, we call it dessert. So it has right to be rich in calories. And we leave it like that for another half an hour. During the time when you have carrots on oven and you can prepare something else. I would suggest, it's already Sunday, but usually when I work with carrots with tzimmes, I always prepare some other dishes that to save time and not to change clothes. And also, of course, you can always drink some wine, but still it's better to use your time like wisely to prepare. So you can use stuff that stayed to make some chulent. Chulent, you would say, why chulent for holidays? Actually, we are so addicted to chulent that it's traditional Jewish dish served for Shabbat, that actually we can't live also during holidays without chulent. So, but also Rosh Hashana chulent, it's not the same as we usually eat. The difference is that we use some honey, some sugar, raisins. You can add also apple. All of these products that we use today, you can add to the chulent. What we do in our family is also the tradition that we use marinate chicken at least 2-3 days to have like different tastes of this meat. And we also add some apricots and traditional local stuff that we call mushrooms. I know that there are Jewish communities worldwide that don't eat mushrooms or believe that mushrooms are only white ones, but it's not the point. We have traditional Polish mushrooms that we can add. So sky is the limit. I encourage you to make your own magic, your own secret recipes, and try to pass them to other generations. So what do we need? We need some sugar. It's another cup of sugar. We need also cinnamon and glass of orange juice. That's the final version. And at the end of this dish, we also put some honey inside, but the dish needs to be cooled down. Why? Because we don't want honey to lose its vitamins, its good stuff inside. So we take a cup of sugar. It might be a half, it might be full, depends on sweetness of carrots, but also on your decision. I leave you on your own. I prefer to have it full. You can ask if every sugar is kosher. Yes, it is. But it's good to check in advance that if there is no flies inside. Sometimes it's happened to have them. After half an hour, but let's say that already passed, we add sugar. We add our orange juice. It might be fresh. It might be 100%. And we mix it and boil it. Just boil it, not longer. But remember, the carrots needs at least 1 hour and a half or almost 2 hours in advance to be cooked in order to add sugar and orange juice. At the end, wait a sec, we also add walnuts. These 12 that we already mashed. And cinnamon. Not too much. I saw some recipes that people are adding so much cinnamon. It won't be tasty, it will be bitter. So not too much. Be aware that it must be tasty. Okay, that dish needs at least to be boiled, and then we switch it off. Let's leave it. Okay, we need to boil it. And the final version that we already have at the end, let me show it. This is the final version of Galiciana rezimes that we have at the end. You can serve it cool
You can serve it warm. In order to have it warm, you can put it to the oven for half an hour to 45 minutes. You can use it with cream, with ice cream, with meat, whatever you prefer. Some fruits, dry fruits or fresh fruits, depends on your creativity. It's good to have different ideas, because if you eat carrot, you eat Galician Zimmers for all holidays round, so it's like 7 days, or 8 days, or 10 days. And actually, we start Rosh Hashanah and then we move to Sukkot. It's almost 1 month. So after 2-3 days, you have enough of carrots. So it's good to play with it, with different flavors, with different styles, with different partners. So it might be accompanied with meat, with fish during main meal, or with as a dessert, with ice cream or cream. Then it's milky, of course. I know that it's possible to have some cream that is also good for vegan. So it doesn't have to be milky, and then it might be accompanied with meat too. So just check some shelves with healthy food. I'm sure you can find some products that might be perfect for the occasion. And how does it look? It looks like that. So you see that it's not watered at all. It's really like a dessert. If we use 1 kilo of carrots and 12 dates, 12 walnuts, 12 apricots, then the portion is around for 6 people. So reconsider it while planning. And I'm looking for the full grain, because we already know it's better to have all head than just half. Thank you. That's how it looks. I hope that it looks fine and it tastes as good as it looks. So, dear friends, I pass it to you. I hope to see your photos of your final products. What did you cook? How did it go? I'm really curious what you experienced, like the most difficult part for you in cooking. What was the worst? What was the most problematic? Maybe we can share or exchange some tips, some secret family tips that we have for sure in our families. And dessert always accompanied with wine. We have kosher wine, Ben Ami, as guys. L'chaim have a wonderful, kosher, full of happiness and rich New Year. Shana Tova, and see you during our Rosh Hashanah Seder this Saturday. So see you there. Bye.